So, I'm Joshua. I work for Renuo, which has this green, very contrasting color. I'm a software engineer. So this talk may be a bit painful to all those 9 employees who made. Oh yeah, right. So, well, the idea is that I, as a customer, basically don't see anything of deploy because it just works seamlessly. And I have a chaotic collection of slides I'd like to present you regarding that. So I work for Renuo. We decided 8 years ago. I think this was the slide you were missing, I think, or you skipped it. So 8 years ago, we thought, our customers are asking for a Swiss solution. We couldn't really sell them a Swiss solution, so we decided to put together requirements for a Swiss Heroku. So we started searching for partners over all the years, and were in talks. I think 3 or 4 providers who then backed out and said, we really cannot do this, or we don't want to do this. But 8 years later, basically, or 7 years later, Heroku decided to increase the pricing. Then we thought, yes, now it's the time again. We actually really want that. We don't like big US companies like Salesforce. I mean, in an enterprise contract with Salesforce, I wouldn't suggest that. So but actually, we like Heroku very much. So we have a bit of a problem here, because what I like about Heroku, for example, is I can really focus on my code. I don't want to see anything about the infrastructure. I write my Ruby on Rails code, which delivers HTML, JavaScript, and CSS to my customers. And that's all I want to care about, the open web standards. And the rest is dealt with by Heroku. For example, the database is a sideshow. I know SQL, fine. But I was told last Friday that Postgres has 360 configuration parameters you could adjust. And that the defaults most of the time works, but sometimes don't. And I'm glad that the managed services team knows all of those 360 configuration parameters. And I actually don't need to know that. Networking, our stack is very complicated by now. I mean, a lot of engineers probably don't, or software engineers don't even know that DNS is an application layer protocol. So, TCP even, come on. And then you ask a question, why is Heroku still using HTTP 1? Right? Probably it's not so easy, otherwise they would switch to HTTP 2, but their HTTP proxy probably is way more complicated than just what I naively think it should actually do. So, and load balancing, especially if I want to scale horizontally. So, do you really want to scale horizontally? When would you ever need that? We have 160 apps, and all issues we have are probably SQL queries, which are really badly written by us. The logging, standard out is nice, but where does it go? To my window tailing in, and then it's gone. Probably I want to have 30 days retention and searchable logs by full text search. And I forgot the backups. Also, for the database, I'm very afraid that I would lose all my data just by an accident. Some years ago, we actually dropped the database of our client accidentally in production, but Heroku had backups. This was nice. And Heroku, also with the build packs, chooses proper defaults. And as a Rails developer, we are going with convention over configuration. We don't like configurations. We want to use the default and fall back to configuration if that is needed. I don't know why the Python folks see this different. I cannot understand this. And so everything just works. But still, I have a lot of stack involved. Even so, I'm just developing software. I have, let's say, a ticket process in Redmine in our case. So the ticket is being specified, and it goes through certain states of estimations, and it's being planned in, it's being worked in, it's reviewed, it's tested, and it's deployed. And yeah, we use Git for that. We have several branches on GitHub. We do pull request reviews, and then we have linters or CIs who run. And yeah, well, we use Semaphore for our CI. And this is my build step basically. And then I have another one, a deployer, and this takes hours, ages, depending on how fast the developers review. So I sometimes dream back the old times, right? While I now deploy in hours. This was actually me in the early 2000s. I had my Notepad++ with the FTP plugin, and yeah, the lamp stack on the other side. It cost 4 francs per month or so. Well, I coded something, and with Control S, I deployed in milliseconds. How nice is that? I'm not saying that I want to go back exactly to that point where without tests in production, I break everything. But who of you can really tell that you can debug a production application in production? You try to hook up in GCP, for example, the debugger of GCP. Well, I tried for a customer, and it ended up that Google replied me in their GitHub repository that Ruby is not important enough for them to tackle, that they would adjust their debugger configuration to my case. And so I said, okay, I'm not debugging in production. Yeah. So Control S was my build step, and I kind of want that back. So let's reframe the writing a code a bit. This is painful for engineers. This is a WordPress plugin. You can just write in PHP code in your WordPress, and it's being run there. So as some content editor would write a new blog article, you can add code like that. And it's applied immediately. So I have my build step back in milliseconds. Or Jupyter Notebook. So all the scientists, they're very glad that they're already very slow Python code at least starts running immediately. So they can click and it just runs. Or if we think about Excel, all the Excel-driven development happening out there probably wouldn't happen if the business person would need to go through code reviews and all the proper engineering practices we now have. So because he gets what he wants immediately. So, and there comes my optimistic vision. Code, deployer should bring it live. And they are always talking about build steps, and I'm thinking, I care about the release. I want to have this, or I know how to do this, and I want to press Control S, and yeah, well, it should just be there. Hit push in milliseconds. So, yeah, well, git commit is in milliseconds. Git push is in milliseconds, except if you do it with GitHub, then you find out that GitHub SSH is really slow. So, yeah. The CI, well, this is slow. We have tests, we have linters, but this is my responsibility. So I can leave this away if I don't care. Probably should not. Yeah, well, then I have humans reviewing my code or testing stuff. This takes time for me. And then comes deployer. Now, Cyril, can you do this in milliseconds? Well, the release, I guess. This was really fast, right? But I would like to get there somewhere where this would be possible. That everything out of my control is done in milliseconds, so that I can press Ctrl S in my CMS and it's live. Or let's say the product manager can click deploy with the changes they made in the YAML file for the translations, for example. Samuel, our PO, does this sometimes over GitHub because he learned how to do that. And we call them sneaky deployments. But we have a CI and it fails often. But we can also maybe think a bit of going further. So some ideas maybe, could we start to build already here and only release after the CI passed? Right? Then it would at least, if I have slow processes in front, at least it would feel very fast. Or could we already build the pull request against the main branch before it's merged, and then release actually on pull request merge directly? I think there's a lot of usability tweaks we could actually apply, which would sound unrealistic if you think about it. So make a build with your build back in milliseconds unrealistic. But maybe we can think about overcoming some of them problems still. So yes, this was basically my slides collection. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Josua? He will be away in milliseconds. So then, thank you very much. So I hope you stay around for the pizzas.
15 more minutes.
15 minutes. So we'll see if this Basilico. And how's the delivery called?
It's Il Basilico. They have
Not eat.ch, where you
No,
can see the app. So we had once company launch and see this guy looking for our office. Okay. Thanks.